I thought the Tesla event was good. You know, I think it serves as a reminder that this is more than just a car company, and like the multiple you give Ford and GM is not the multiple you give this company. They're still innovative. They're still doing good. You know, Ford and GM aren't doing that. Ford and GM are worried about unions. You want short DJT? I'm looking at it now. I mean, anybody can sell a catheter. That's not a big deal. It doesn't cost much. It's $1,000 catheter. I mean, it's a very competitive market. MedTech. It's not biotech. They do have a product, Truth Social. It's not very good. It's not used much, but they do have a product. I offer to help. Yeah, it does look like they got approval, so I definitely give you credit for that. But, you know, just getting approval for a catheter is not a big deal. I don't think 13Fs are worth anything. When I was young in investing, I thought they mattered. There's still some older people in investing that think they matter. I feel bad for them. I'm going to look at Chegg for a minute, okay? It's my little small cap pick. I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to do what me and my custies want me to do. Now, if you sign up for Godel, I'll drop everything and look at your stupid stock. Yeah, so everyone thinks AI is destroying Chegg, but in the last 6 months, Chegg made 30% of its market cap and cash flow. More. A third of its market cap and cash flow. This used to be a $10 billion company. 10 billion. It's down 99% or something. People have left it for dead. Except me. I gotta call KKR and Carlyle and all those guys. Maybe Silver Lake. I'm gonna call those guys and try to buy out the company. I don't know if you need a framework, but let me get my head around what you're asking. I think there's a lot of ways to do it. I mean, understanding their business model, you got to read the filings. In essence, they are a subscription company now. It's most of their business comes from, I mean, last 6 quarters, they've been profitable. Yeah, I mean, I won't say I ever really loved IonQ anyway, but I do like it in the long run. I mean, it's not like I'm telling you to go out and mortgage your house and buy IonQ. So I just want to be careful. It wasn't like some high conviction pick. Yeah, I do think it's better than Rigetti, but like and I actually know a lot about quantum computing, and I still just mindful that it's a tough space to figure out. Really tough. Just short interest. Let me understand something. Something's risky to you about the fact that people like me are willing to pay 50% APR to sell the stock at this price? That's pretty good confirmation. There is cash flow in crypto. Ethereum has revenue. Well, most brokers don't have good news systems. That's why people use Bloomberg and stuff like that. But you know, if your broker interface is good, you should use it. But most of them don't have things like financials. Nobody has a system that actually is a terminal. So you have to click around like an idiot. Click, 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 click. This is like more or less what the new interface will look like for the AI analyst. So I'm going to refresh and you'll see how this works. So the AI analyst is reading each document. And it's going to kind of show you each 10Q, 10K press release it's reading, and it's populating. This is like, it already read it, so it's not going to be as clear maybe what it's doing, but it creates this like knowledge tree of like all the company's products and collaborations, clinical trials. So here it says this drug, potential treatment for, discovered and developed. See, you scroll over it, it's kind of crazy. You scroll over it, potential treatment for Parkinson's, discovered and developed by Denali, Luma study. So you can kind of get a visual of the company. And this will be cleaned up a little bit, but it's kind of you're going to see it arborize into like a million things. And then here's the JSON. So you can actually go in here and be like, well, I think the best description of this is something else, and you can change it yourself if you wanted to. And then here, you're going to see the analyst actually fill out the Excel sheet, just like I do. So if anybody can build this tool, it's me. And, you know, basically the analyst will just be clicking it in. And then you could ask the analyst questions like, hey, how's it going?
Hello, I'm 𝗂𝗢𝗏, the world's best financial analyst at your service. I'm here to help you achieve world-class returns on your portfolio. Let's dive into some analysis and make some smart investment decisions together. How can I assist you today?
Time series neural networks are something that have been in finance a long time, but Bloomberg hasn't done them. And they're too complicated for most people, so you have to make them easy to run. And we're doing that. But, you know, you have to block and tackle too, like just adding bonds to a portfolio is not easy. Not to a portfolio, adding bonds to Godel, adding a portfolio system, adding this cat right here. I think parents will buy Chegg for their kids just to do it. It's interesting that they bundle Tinder and DashPass. It's kind of neat. They need to reduce their workforce a little bit, I think. AI is a problem for Chegg. That's not the analysis. If it was that easy, you could just, you don't even have to do any, you never even have to look at a financial statement. Why look at financial statements? Yes, long Chegg. You would buy any stock at any price or sell any stock at any price. You have to think about the valuation. I'm long, yeah. I'm really like Chegg. Celsius, small positive bias. I'm not sure it's a buy. I don't think it's a short, but I'm not sure I'm running out and screaming to buy it. I also don't know that space that much. Yeah, investing is about looking at the fundamentals, weighing it against the price you're paying. That's it. I mean, why people don't understand this, I really don't get. Here's an example. Here's a $100 bill, okay? And it just came off the mint. Have you ever had one of those dollars? It's like so crisp and clean. It's like amazing. It's like never been folded. It's never been used. It looks amazing. Would you buy this for $300? Some of you, it sounds like you would. It really does. Now here's a $100 bill. It's got the face, Ben Franklin's face, and it's old and crinkly. Got even a little bit of tear over here somewhere, a little torn. Yeah, would you buy this for $50? When you tell me that Chegg has a problem with AI, you're basically telling me, oh, that $100 bill has some dog poo on it. Yeah, I know. Everybody knows that. The question is, what price are we paying for it? That's what matters. You give me a $100 bill for $50, I'll take that. I don't care how much dog poo is on that $100 bill. I'm gonna go cash it in. Maybe I could clean it up. The bank will take it either way. That's all I care about. So that's the rough analogy. I'm not gonna pay $300 just because it looks shiny and bright and new. Why? Nah, I don't do that. This is called value investing. Millennium supposedly has been short Chegg. So I don't know what's going on there, but that's just a rumor. Great firm. This maybe second biggest hedge fund in the world, maybe the first. Just top 3 hedge fund in the world. I mean, they probably made a lot of money. It was a 10 billion market cap. See, they fire 90 people. They need to fire 900 people. And you need to put Shkreli in there right now as CEO. Right now. Value investing isn't for everyone. It requires a certain mindset and a certain tolerance for pain and a certain patience. Oh, that's cool. They have a partnership with Scale AI and a partnership with OpenAI. Yeah, I think like it would be so much easier to make a tool, and I've thought about this too, to make like a learning tool that just does new questions over and over again. So let's say you wanted to practice calculus, right? And you could just be like, okay, give me a 20 question test on calculus, and it would just generate new questions, you know, A, B, C, D, or maybe fill out the answers either way. Whereas like ChatGPT, you know, Q1, continue, something like this, and it just procedurally generates new quizzes. You know, is the derivative, f prime is 2x, 4x, and keep going, and you get like a measurement for like how good you are, moves over time, et cetera, et cetera. That's, ChatGPT can't compete with that, right? ChatGPT is not optimized for learning. It's a great product. It's like, you have to actually ask it, like, can you give me 10 calculus problems for derivatives and check my work when I give you the answers. Give me them one at a time. Like, this isn't gonna work. Well, okay, it's not bad. But it can't keep track and do other stuff like that, right? I didn't ask it to check my answer like this, but this, you know, this could be worse. So now I'll say, I don't know, can you teach me how to derive or to solve for the derivative of trigonometric functions. Trigonometric? Yeah, it's not really teaching me anything here. So anyway, the point is, like, this isn't great. This isn't that great of a learning tool. Like, you could do a lot better than this. And that's why so many companies have like specific AIs for really different systems, for keeping track of your progress. And like, this isn't going to keep track of my progress and be like, okay, your next lesson is this. So I do think Chegg is going to be just fine, to be honest. And again, it's like one of the craziest value plays I've ever seen. It's literally trading at 1 times earnings. Yeah, so subscription of their main products, 90% of revenue. They do have textbook skills as well. Their skills in other business has been dropping. Interesting. That's where actually most of the decline is coming from. All right, what stock should we look at? All right, let's look at Amphastar together. So the stock price is 46. The shares outstanding is 49 million. So the market cap is 46 times 49, which is what, well, if it was 100 million shares outstanding, it would be 4.6 billion market cap, right? Am I thinking about this right? It's like 2.5 billion? No. That's if it was 400 million market cap. 400 million shares outstanding. 50 times 50 is 2,500, right? So this is 46 times 49. So the most it could be was 2,500 or 2.5 billion, 2,500 million. Let's see how much cash they have. Okay, so Amphastar has some debt. They bought 𝗏𝗏𝗏 from Lilly. I just know that because I follow Lilly really closely. Not in pharma. If you buy drugs from big pharma, you tend to get a really good deal because big pharma just doesn't care. Enterprise value. So this is a basic concept in finance. If you're not familiar with it, you have to become familiar with it ASAP. So, you know, the market cap is pretty simple, right? This is how many slices of pie are there. In this pizza pie, there's 8 slices. If it's $1 a slice, the whole pizza is $8. That's the market cap of the company. You might buy a share for $1, but there's 8 total shares. So if you buy 1 share, you own 1/8 of the company. Now, the problem with companies is there's a lot of shares. So in this case, there's 49 million shares. You can imagine each share is like a really small cut of the pizza. And it's $46 a share. There's 49 million shares. We did the math earlier. That's $2.2 billion market cap. So by buying 1 share at $46, you don't own very much of the company. Now there's cash and debt. So when you have a $2.5 billion or 2.25 billion market cap, and here's the company. You're buying a share of the company. It's in this box. What's in the box? Well, it's all the assets of the company, right? But it's also all the liabilities. Well, we're trying to value what's in the box. You know, the box spits out earnings every year. I don't know if it spits out maybe 100 million in earnings every year. So do you want to buy this box for all the earnings it spits out? So that's basically the main idea. But there's also something else in the box. There's cash. In this case, there's 230 million in cash, right? So basically, the part that's the cash, you can almost like separate out. And you can basically say the box without the cash, if you own the company, you could do this. The box without the cash is worth 2.0 billion because that 230 in cash is worth 230. So if I subtract these two, I'm left with 2.0. So you're really buying the company for 2.0 billion. Now the problem is there's also debt. In fact, there's more debt than cash. There's 587 million in debt. So you actually have negative 350 in cash. So the enterprise value, if you paid off all the debts, you're paying 2.6 billion for the company. And the company is whatever earnings are going to come out every year, which can change every year. The enterprise value of the company is 2.6 billion when taking into account how much cash and debt exist. That's an explanation of enterprise value. The cash is not needed to generate earnings now. There's some working capital needed, but that's another story in general. Some small amount of cash is obviously needed to run the business and working capital and whatnot. But the point is the enterprise value calculation normalizes the company for all the cash and debt it has. Very, very, very basic concept in investing. It's kind of the first fundamental thing you can learn. There's obviously I've made some video series. I don't know where to find them. My old YouTube got deleted, so you'd have to go look for mine. But there's a Bill Ackman. He did a whole thing here. Not sure where he did his, but he did a basic investing. Years ago, he did a investing thing. I think maybe they're growing because of the acquisition, but it's a really weird company. It's like a hybrid brand and generics. They do generics as well. So it's what you'd call specialty pharma. I think it's really well run. I think their CEO owns a ton of the stock and is a pretty impressive dude. He's built this company kind of slowly, carefully, methodically, and pretty well. Forecasting requires a pretty solid knowledge of the industry and the company and so forth. Forecasting can be very scary because it's very easy to do, but it's very hard to get right. It's kind of like painting. You know, anybody can take a paintbrush and go pretend they're an artist, but is it actually going to be a good painting? You know, after you've painted 1,000 paintings, you might be better than if you've painted 2 or 3. Forecasting is nothing to do with DCF and WACC, in my opinion. Forecasting is about the inputs that go into those formulas. Those are more equations to me than they are forecasting methods. I don't know if that makes sense. So you have to think about the inputs like cash flow or net income, and then risk like cost of capital or discount rate or whatever. I thought the Tesla event was fine. I think it's a buy on this. It sort of shows you that it's not a normal car company. Ford and GM are not doing any of that stuff. Okay, so in any drug company, I really want to know the breakdown of all the products they sell. That's really important because some products will lose patent protection and all kinds of stuff. So you got to be really careful about what products make up the revenue. And here they break it down somewhere. Here we go. So glucagon basically can't go generic. I think it's a biologic, but I would look into that. Epinephrine's sort of same thing. It's sort of a complex generic. Maybe not that complex, but Primatene Mist, I'm pretty sure, is a consumer product. And there's 𝗥𝗡𝗎, which is a really good product, I think, for them. It's a biologic. So these are all like kind of tough to make, or like they have some other like reason why. Well, I mean, he's basically neck and neck with Waymo, right? He's saying that there'll be Tesla automated cars in California and Texas this year or next year. So it's an early market. This is going to take a decade, right? So I don't think, you know, this very, very small advantage that Waymo has is epinephrine is generic, but I think that it has like some kind of property that makes it kind of generic resistant, which is why they're selling 100 million of it. Like all of their portfolios got like some weird wrinkles to it. Now, the thing about the generics game and the specialty generics game and the difficult to make generics game is that eventually, you know, people do find a way to make it and do find a way to knock the price down. But for whatever reason, typically parenteral drugs, in other words, drugs you take by injection, parenteral drugs are a little harder to make than oral drugs. And certain drugs, it's hard to do bioequivalence. For example, like epinephrine, because you have natural epinephrine. So how do you do the bioequivalence? You know, there's a whole bunch of these that are like, there's a story to every generic. Not really trade secrets, but it's just, you know, regulatory barriers, scientific barriers. Yeah, it could be a little bit trade secrets for sure. But they kind of all come and go. Yeah, they also sell human insulin API, which is kind of funny. And API in this case is active pharmaceutical ingredient, not the API we know in software. These days, API for me means application interface, not application programming interface. No longer means active pharmaceutical ingredient. It's kind of funny. Well, you know, Icon was the king of the 80s and 90s. He's 90 years old now. You know, his career is ending. He's basically retired. But Icon's the GOAT. So if you exclude 𝗥𝗡𝗎, their core product portfolio isn't really growing, and that's normal in specialty pharma. You know, not launching tons of new products. And yeah, Brett is in charge now, right? Michael Burry, come on. Burry barely. I was looking up his fund. His 13F doesn't have any money in it. We generally ban anyone who asks about Burry in here. Name a more interesting investor? Let's see. Let's go to the hedge fund list. Literally anybody else. Anybody who works at Citadel, Jane Street, or Millennium, or 𝗔𝗏, Renaissance, or Susquehanna, or AQR. Anyone at 2 Sigma or Valley, 0.72, Viking, Co2. We also ban people who say Nancy Pelosi. Literally anybody at these firms, not even the bosses, like anybody else. You only know about Burry because there's someone made a movie about him. That's not real Wall Street. That's like thinking Santa Claus is the best logistics provider. That's like thinking the Easter Bunny is the largest producer of poultry. Yeah, Oaktree's interesting. I never really dug into what he does. Yeah, so this is the CEO, Dr. Jack Zhang. He's done a really good job, in my opinion, of running Amphastar. I mean, 𝗘𝐽 is pretty well-known incident. I bought out a company and I was arrested shortly thereafter, which is pretty wild. The government caused $100 million plus of damages to 𝗘𝐽 stock because they were trying to prove that I committed a fraud with no damages. Kind of shows you how the government works, you know? Yeah, they just did that to Trump in the New York appeals case. They basically said, how do you have fraud without damages? I had the same argument. They twist and torture the definitions of these things so it works out in their favor. I wonder if Amphastar can make generic Ozempic. Oh, look at GSK. I think Trump's gonna win. Have never looked at a caviar stock, no. I don't think it'll sell 400,000 copies, but and plus, you know, you can't make too much money writing a book. Hillary Clinton can, but that's another story. She's selling something else when she sells a book. How do all of her books become bestsellers? She writes the same book every year. You know what happens when she writes a book? Let me show you. She signs a deal with the book company, right? Here's how the book costs $1 to make, right? So the book's all margin. So here's a contract with the book company. Up front, $5 million, okay? And then per copy, 20%. The book's hardcover, $29.99. Would it cost to print the book? Maybe 99 cents. $28.99 gross margin. What's her fee? So it's $6 for her. The book company makes a good margin. They're also going to spend, you know, a little bit of money marketing it, maybe $5 on marketing. Then they have corporate overhead, so call that $10. So it's pretty high margin. So she makes $6. She sees $6 a copy. This is what she does. Hello, David Solomon, CEO of Goldman Sachs. How are you? Yes, it's Hillary Clinton. I just came out with a book. It's called My Journey. And Solomon's like, has it any different from your book that you put out last year called My Story? What happened? Every year, same book. Yo, Mr. Solomon, I know that you support me and what I do and my husband and, you know, the progressive and liberal cause. So are you going to buy 100,000 copies of the book for your employees at Goldman Sachs? Oh, well, you know, we don't really buy books, Hillary. You know, what am I going to do with 100,000 books? That's kind of like, seems like a stupid thing to do. Well, Mr. Solomon, if you want to continue breathing, I mean, if you'd like to have my insight on various matters geopolitically and make sure Goldman Sachs doesn't get indicted and have a seat at the table in important and pressing matters, then, you know, I think you may want to read the insights that are contained in this book, the critical insights of these
stories about my life that are so critical. Oh, yes, now that you put it that way, put me down for 100,000 copies. Thank you. Okay, so that's Goldman Sachs bribe for 600K. Keep going down the list. Bank of America, Walmart, and sooner or later, it's a bestseller. What do you know? Really diverse portfolio. It's not cheap. Smart management. It's like one of these super long-term holds. I remember when it was a $20 stock. Sleepy, quiet, successful company. So free cash flow last year was 200, not even 200, 150. So 17 times. That's for no growth. I guess Amphastar could be cheap if 𝗥𝗡𝗎, just trying to see if 𝗥𝗡𝗎 is going to, it's just, you know, how much do you want to pay for declining cash flows? In pharma, like, you want to pay 10 times. I mean, 10 times earnings is kind of the most you want to pay for declining cash flows. When I say declining, I mean like stable-ish, mid-single digits declines. Well, they wasted their money on bad acquisitions, which is why Vivek and I tried to teach all these companies that like M&A is so important. Pfizer especially doesn't understand M&A, even though they do the most of M&A. Investors understand M&A because we're good at valuing things. We know how to value deals. It's private equity, basically. Yeah, 𝗥𝗡𝗎. I've been talking about it nonstop. It's just a biosimilar insulin. And they're making another insulin, which I don't know if they'll ever get approval. They've been trying to get approval for generic insulin for so long. Acquisitions are hard to do. I mean, you have to integrate. You have to get company culture. You have to keep the good people. All the good people want to leave. You know, you have to get rid of the bad people. They all want to stay. Doing mergers for a living is real tricky. Yeah, the market's more or less gotten a little more efficient. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There are periods of insanity that recur. So it's hard to say. That's a really tough one. I'm not sure. So they started recognizing 𝗥𝗡𝗎. It's not dirty cheap. Shut up, kitty. Don't you dare come up here. Don't you dare come up here. Shut up. I said shut up. I said shut up.